let's go into the back pages, shall we? Take you to Germany, where talkSPORT's Angelina Kelly is for us. How are you, Angelina? How is Germany treating you?
It was treating me wonderfully until the Wi-Fi decided to play up this morning. But I've had a word. I've been down to reception. I've had a word, and I think we're all good now.
Good.
Apart from that, it's been absolutely brilliant. Was in Munich for a few days with 4% of Scotland. It was fantastic.
Great.
Lovely.
Where are we going to start? Obviously we've got some England stuff and the headlines. Gareth Southgate, is that the main story?
Yeah, that is across most of the papers, in the Mail. Time for England to settle the debate around Southgate's legacy once and for all. And, just talking about this, the way that he splits people's opinions, talking about, has he taken the team beyond anybody's expectations, or has this generation of young attacking players been stifled by his caution? In the Telegraph, quite interestingly, they talk about how he does need to lift this trophy to erase doubts, but about the FA wanting him to commit to the 2026 World Cup, irrespective of how this campaign goes. And Oliver Brown, who's written the article, says, rewarding him in blind faith that it will all come right in the future is naive at best. And yeah, in the Mirror as well, Robbie Fowler, really, I would say a nice article. It talks about when Southgate missed his penalty against Germany and about how this could be his final shot at redemption. But yeah, just a lot of talk about what does his legacy look like with a trophy or without a trophy? And are the FA right to be pushing for the 2026 World Cup?
Well, I say this every tournament, Angelina, that I think international football, you judge how the tournament goes. If you're a team that's of a nation that's expected to go very deep and may have a chance of winning, and you fall short, unfortunately, you lose your job so often in international football. And I think Gareth's done a great job with England. He's improved them without doubt. He's got a quality team. If they don't make it, I said to Natalie last week, Gareth's, if they make the quarterfinals this tournament, it's his 100th game for England. He might think, I've had 100 goes at it, and I haven't won it, but leave it in the reins of someone else. I think he'll do that.
Some of the decisions that he has to make ahead of tonight's game will be in defence, but also in midfield, and what perhaps three he might go for in midfield. And certainly Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the names being mentioned as a potential starter. How are the papers covering him?
Well, a lot of talk is about Wayne Rooney's comments about Trent Alexander-Arnold. And in The Observer, they're talking about Rooney said that he wouldn't have Trent anywhere near the middle of the pitch. Defensively, he's all over the place. And they actually talk about how Wayne Rooney himself played in midfield at Euro 2026. It was something that he actually pushed for. But yeah, it's quite interesting about how there's been talk of, he shouldn't be playing in that area of the pitch. Klopp even questioned it. But the Southgate's been talking about how fantastic Trent's been, really receptive to feedback, really keen, and he could be something incredibly special. So yeah, I feel like Gareth Southgate trusting Trent, this could be key for the player, this could be key for England, and people wanted to see Southgate, doing something different. And it's kind of funny that he is trying to do something different, and you've still got a little bit of criticism, but it'll be interesting to see, where Trent does start and how he does.
I mean, I've always been saying it with Southgate. He's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't.
Exactly.
It's an impossible job at times. I think that wouldn't trust him anywhere near the midfield or in the middle is what Wayne Rooney has to say.
I wouldn't.
Seems a little extreme.
Yeah, and I'd also say you got the protection of someone like Declan Rice around him.
Yeah.
His job, if Trent plays, Declan Rice's job has to be to make sure that Trent, like Toni Kroos of Germany gets, you have someone to help him, back him, support him in any position. And I think Declan can do that as well as anybody else.
I wouldn't. If it was like a Colt, he's never done it before, and it was we're literally just putting you in because we need somebody to play that role. Okay, you can raise some questions over it, but started his life in academy football as a midfielder, was then converted to a right back. We saw it last season that he would play in midfield at times for Liverpool, so it's not alien to him.
Well, he's very comfortable on the ball, and that's one of the main things you need as a midfielder.
So I think it's a little extreme, perhaps, but look, these are the judgment calls that Southgate will have to make ahead of tonight's kickoff. Lots of transfer talk in the papers, just aside from the Euros, although actually a lot of the players involved in the Euros probably being spoken about in the papers today as well.
Yes, in The Observer, Ed Aarons has spoken about 10 players who could make big moves this transfer window. Some of the standout names, there are names like, people like Eddie Nketiah, who hasn't started a game for Arsenal since New Year's Eve. The writing's kind of on the wall there. Jadon Sancho, Manchester United apparently want 40 million. Interestingly, spoke to a Man United fan yesterday who wanted Sancho to return. But yeah, three of the big names, Conor Gallagher, Aston Villa are expected to make offers for him with just a year on his contract. Michael Olise, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Bayern Munich, all interested. And of course, Ivan Toney, Chelsea, Man United, Spurs, West Ham linked with him, valued around £50 million. Sorry, Nat, to even mention that.
It's not a problem.
But should these players, or I think I know what Nat's answer to that will be, should all these players be moving? And where would the best option be? I feel like Ivan Toney's the big standout name there.
Well, if we're talking just from my angle, being that he's a Brentford player, he's only got one more year left on his deal. So we have to sell him. If we want to make money out of him, we're going to have to sell him, unless the club can come up with a deal that he would find absolutely irresistible. But I think the lure of playing in some sort of European competition, which so many players want to do, I think will be very difficult to turn down if a certain club comes in for him who are playing in Europe next season. So yeah, I'm not. If he moves on with my blessing, because he's done great things for us on the pitch. He was instrumental in getting us up, obviously, from the Championship into the Premier League. I think when you're a club of a certain level, you do expect players will move on and there'll be the vultures always circling it. So,
and you break the wage structure at your club, and then other players have to be brought up to the level of...
Selling him for 50 million would be remarkable for Brentford. So.
Yeah, you can't do that. You'd have to sell him. So,
exactly.
It happens every year. Every year's the same. Loads of movement with players, and some are unexpected.
Yeah, very much so. Angelina, thank you. Great to be with you. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy your time in Germany. I'm sure, no doubt, you'll hear plenty from Angelina throughout this Euros tournament. On the way next, we're going to be joined by the England legend Stuart Pearce to look ahead to tonight's huge clash then with Serbia, which we're bringing to you live on talkSPORT.
Was ist das? talkSPORT?